They will never teach you this in school. They will never hand it to you in a textbook. And most of the world will go their entire lives blind to it, chained by invisible walls. Controlled not by circumstance, but by ignorance of a truth so powerful it separates the giant of history from the forgotten masses. This, my friend, is not a trick. It is not magic. It is not a shortcut. It is a law, as real and unforgiving as gravity itself. The hidden law of success. When you look back across time, the pattern reveals itself. Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before birthing the light that banished darkness. Henry Ford, who was mocked for daring to build a car when the world still clung to horses. Andrew Carnegie, who rose from a penniless immigrant boy working in factories to the steel king of America. What united them was not luck, not chance, not privilege. They obeyed the law, a law invisible to the average man, yet visible to anyone who trains the eye to see. And here's the truth. Success is not an accident. Success is not a gift. Success is a consequence of aligning your mind, your vision, and your relentless discipline with the principles of this law. But most people will never understand it. They think success is about working harder than everyone else. They think it's about talent, connections, or the right timing. But the law is deeper. The law says your outer world will always bow to the dominion of your inner world. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are not idle. They are architects. Every belief you hold is a builder of destiny. Every fear you nurture is a thief of fortune. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are convinced you deserve. And here lies the tragedy. Most people live their entire lives begging for scraps from a banquet table they were born to sit at. The hidden law whispers this. Whatever you plant in the soil of your mind, nourished by the emotion belief, will one day bear fruit in your reality. This is not opinion. This is not guesswork. Look at the evidence written in the lives of the great. Walt Disney went bankrupt, humiliated, told he had no imagination. Yet he carried a vision so vivid inside his mind that reality itself bent to it. Today, millions walk through the gates of a dream once laughed at. So ask yourself, what are you planting daily in your mind? Doubt or determination? Fear or faith? Scarcity or abundance? Because you cannot plant thorns and expect roses. You cannot plant weeds and expect wheat. The soil does not lie. The law does not fail. And yet, this law is hidden because most people are too distracted to notice it. They wake up and fill their minds with noise, with gossip, with the failures of others. They feed their inner world with poison, then curse life when a harvest comes bitter. But those who rise, those who transform poverty into wealth, obscurity into greatness, despair into legacy, they obey this law with discipline, even when the world mocks them. Think of Abraham Lincoln, born in a log cabin, losing election after election, facing heartbreak after heartbreak, yet holding a picture in his mind of a nation united. When he had nothing else, he had vision, and vision, aligned with persistence, made him immortal. This is the law that does not discriminate, does not bend, does not fail. It doesn't care if you are rich or poor, educated or uneducated, young or old. It cares only for the seeds you plant, the intensity of your belief, and the consistency of your action. And here's the sobering truth, the one most people run from. You're already living by this law, whether you realize it or not. Your current life is nothing more than the fruit of past thoughts, past choices, past beliefs. If you are not where you want to be, it is not punishment. It is simply proof that the soil is honest, the law is working, and it is time for you to plant again with intention. But understand this, the law rewards clarity. You cannot be vague. You cannot say, I want success, and expect the world to hand it to you. Success is not an idea, it is a blueprint. Edison did not just want light. He saw the bulb burning before the world did. Carnegie did not just want wealth. He saw steel empires before the first beam was forged. Disney did not just want dreams. He saw castles before the first brick was laid. The average man prays for rain. The master builds an ark. So the question is not whether the law works. The question is whether you will work it, whether you will strip away the doubts of the crowd, the noise of society, and the laziness of comfort, and finally obey the one principle that separates the dreamers from the achievers. The law that says your mind is the origin of your fortune, your vision is the map, and your discipline is the price. If you dare to study the giants of history, you'll see the same fingerprints of this hidden law etched across their lives. It does not matter the century, the culture, or the starting point. Those who rose from the dust into greatness obeyed the same pattern. They understood that the mind is not a mirror reflecting life. It is a projector creating it. Picture Andrew Carnegie as a boy, standing in the dirt streets of Pittsburgh with holes in his shoes, watching wealthy men pass by in fine suits. He did not curse them. He did not complain about injustice. He closed his eyes and declared, "One day I will stand among them." That inner declaration, forged in the silence of his own soul, became the seed, and once planted, the seed began bending reality toward it. He found himself working in factories, then telegraph offices, then railroads. Each step, the law pulled him closer, until the boy in rags became the steel titan, who employed tens of thousands. Do you see it? The law does not begin with wealth. It begins with vision. It begins with that fire in the mind that refuses to be extinguished. Yet the tragedy is most people will not use it. They will argue against their own potential. They will say, "I could never do that," or "That's impossible for someone like me." And in doing so, they are obeying the same law, only in reverse. Their belief in limitation becomes the architect of their chains. They build prisons with their thoughts, and then spend a lifetime wondering why they cannot break free. This is why Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Not whatever the mind casually wishes for. Not whatever the mind daydreams about. But whatever it can conceive with clarity and believe with conviction. That combination is the ignition key to the engine of success. But clarity requires courage. To declare, 'This is who I will become,' is to expose yourself to doubt, to mockery, to fear. The world is comfortable with mediocrity. It resents those who announce greatness. When Henry Ford said he would build a car for the common man, his peers ridiculed him. They said, "If people want faster transportation, give them faster horses." But Ford did not see horses. He saw assembly lines, engines, families driving across America. And because he saw it, he built it. Understand this. The law bends not to what is realistic, but to what is believed. Realism is the language of the average. Vision is the language of the extraordinary. Now, here's where discipline enters. Belief without action is fantasy. Action without belief is struggle. But belief fused with disciplined action is destiny. The law is not a genie. It is a farmer. If you plant seeds and water them with consistent labor, the harvest is inevitable. But if you plant once and walk away, the soil will laugh at you. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed over 10,000 times to create the light bulb. Journalists mocked him. Investors abandoned him. But Edison replied, "I have not failed. I have found 10,000 ways that will not work." That mindset is the purest obedience to the hidden law. His belief never wavered. His discipline never faltered. And the result was a world forever changed by light. Now compare that to the man who tries something twice, fails, and quits. Both men lived under the same law. One planted seeds of resilience, the other seeds of defeat. One reaped light, the other reaped regret. And so I ask you, what seeds are you planting today? Because every thought, every word, every act of faith or fear is a seed. You are not neutral. You are creating at every moment. The question is whether you are creating deliberately or carelessly. Do not misunderstand. The law will test you. It will strip you of excuses. It will demand that you endure storms, setbacks, failures. This is not punishment. This is process. Just as steel must endure fire before it becomes strong, your vision must endure adversity before it becomes real. Every obstacle you face is not the law rejecting you. It is the law shaping you into the person capable of holding the success you desire. Consider Abraham Lincoln again. He lost his mother as a boy. He lost his business. He lost elections. He buried children. Most men would have collapsed under such weight. But Lincoln understood. His vision of a united America was worth every wound. The law did not hand him victory on the first attempt. It forged him in the furnace of loss until he became the leader strong enough to carry a nation. That is a hidden law, secret cruelty, and secret gift. It does not give you what you want immediately, because immediate success would destroy you. It stretches you, tests you, breaks you, until the day you emerge, no longer the person who began the journey, but the person worthy of the dream. And when that day comes, you will look back and see the truth. The failures were not failures. The losses were not losses. The pain was not punishment. They were the chisels carving you into greatness. So if you feel defeated, do not despair. If you feel overlooked, do not give up. If you feel stuck, understand you are not being buried. You are being planted. And when the time comes, your roots will break the soil, your vision will bloom, and the world will call it luck. But you will know the truth. You will know it was a law, working silently, faithfully, unbreakably. The greatest tragedy of our age is not that people dream too big and fail. It's that they dream too small and succeed. They obey the law by shrinking their vision until it fits inside their fear, and then they call it being realistic. They trade greatness for comfort, potential for security, destiny for mediocrity. And yet, the law never judges. It simply delivers what was planted. Do you understand the way of this? Every empire, every invention, every fortune that shaped history was once invisible, alive only in the unseen chamber of someone's mind. Before airplanes soared, the Wright brothers carried the image of flight. Before skyscrapers touched the clouds, architects carried steel towers in their imagination. Before empires rose, leaders carried nations in their hearts. The visible world is nothing more than the graveyard of yesterday's doubts, or the birthplace of tomorrow's belief. But here is where most falter. They confuse wishing with believing. Wishing is weak. Wishing is passive. Wishing says, it would be nice if believing, true believing, is fire. It is certainty. It is a kind of conviction that makes a man rise at dawn while the world sleeps. That makes him endure ridicule while others laugh. That makes him persist long after logic says quit. Wishing creates daydreamers. Belief creates empire builders. Andrew Carnegie once said he could predict the future of any young man by a single question. What is his definite major purpose? If the man could answer with clarity, with conviction, with fire, Carnegie said his fortune was inevitable. If he could not, his life would scatter into confusion, drifting like a ship without a compass. That is the law. Without purpose, the soil remains empty. Without clarity, the seeds never sprout. Without vision, the law has nothing to respond to. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. And so most wander, living by accident, existing instead of creating, reacting instead of commanding. They wake up without direction, go to jobs they hate, and wonder why success eludes them. The law cannot deliver a harvest where nothing was planted. But here lies the miracle. The moment you decide, truly decide, the law bends. When you declare with conviction, this is who I am, this is what I will achieve, this is where I am going, the gears of the universe shift. Opportunities appear. People arrive. Circumstances align. It looks like chance, but it is law. The moment Ford decided, the machinery appeared. The moment Edison decided, resources arrived. The moment Disney decided, the world made room for a mouse named Mickey. And this is why indecision is death. To live in hesitation is to live in self-sabotage. The law despises vagueness. It rewards only clarity. Just as a farmer cannot scatter random seeds and expect a field of wheat, you cannot scatter half-hearted intentions and expect greatness. The soil does not discriminate, but it demands specificity. Now, let us confront another truth. The law responds not only to what you desire, but to what you expect. If deep inside you expect failure, you will sabotage yourself until failure arrives. If you expect rejection, you will unconsciously repel opportunities. If you expect scarcity, you will overlook abundance staring you in the face. But if you expect victory, you will find a way to create it. Expectation is a magnet, belief is the current, and action is the proof. Think of the gold rush prospectors. Thousands dug, searching for fortune. Most quit after striking rock after rock. They cursed their luck, abandoned their picks, and walked away. Yet history tells us that many stopped just feet from veins of gold. They obeyed the law of expectation, believing more in failure than in triumph. and the law delivered accordingly. But those who pressed forward, those who said, "I am certain it is here," became legends. That is not superstition. It is psychology. It is resilience. It is the mind refusing to collapse under temporary defeat. The goal was there for both men, but only the man who expected to find it stayed long enough to claim it. And this is why you must guard your expectations like a fortress. The world will try to plant weeds in your soil: criticism, doubt, negativity, fear. If you accept them, you water them and they grow. But if you reject them, if you hold fast to your vision with unshakable expectation, the law has no choice but to yield. Do not misunderstand. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is not delusion. This is discipline. To expect success is not to ignore reality. It is to bend reality. To expect abundance is not to deny difficulty. It is to claim victory over it. To expect greatness is not pride. It is obedience to the same law that lifted every giant in history. So ask yourself, what you truly expect. Not what you say out loud, but what you whisper to yourself when the lights are off. Do you expect wealth or do you expect struggle? Do you expect health or do you expect decline? Do you expect opportunity or do you expect rejection? Whatever your honest expectation, that is the seed, and the soil will not lie. The soil of the mind is more fertile than any land on earth, but most people treat it with less care than a patch of weeds behind their house. They let anything grow: fear, doubt, jealousy, anger, limitation, and then they are shocked when their lives bear the fruit of their negligence. But the great ones, the legends, they become ruthless gardeners of their inner world. They protect their minds the way a king protects a throne, because they know that every seed allowed inside will one day rule their outer life. Look at Henry Ford again. The newspapers mocked him. The so-called experts laughed at him. His early models failed, his investors doubted, his own engineers quit. At any moment, he could have allowed their doubts to become his. But he guarded his mind like a fortress. He declared, "Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal." That was not a quote. It was a shield that blocked out the poison of mediocrity and kept his soil fertile with belief. And this is where most fail. They underestimate the power of influence. They think they can keep company with doubters, complainers, and cynics without absorbing their poison. But the law is impartial. If weeds are planted in your soil, they will grow just as fast as roses. You cannot rise to greatness surrounded by those committed to smallness. You cannot walk with those who crawl and expect to fly. Napoleon Hill himself discovered this truth when he studied Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Edison. He found that every man of destiny built what he called a mastermind alliance, a circle of individuals who shared the vision, fueled the belief, and reinforced the purpose. These alliances were not accidents. They were deliberate. Carnegie had his steel generals. Edison had his research team. Ford had his innovators. No man ever built an empire alone, but no man ever built one surrounded by the wrong voices. The hidden law demands that you choose. Either guard your soil and select your allies, or allow weeds to grow and watch your destiny rot. There is no neutral ground. The conversations you tolerate are either lifting you or lowering you. The people you allow into your circle are either watering your vision or drowning it. Success is not only the child of inner belief, it is a child of chosen association. But even with belief and alliance, the law still demands something greater: discipline. Discipline is the daily proof of belief. Without it, dreams collapse into fantasies. With it, fantasies harden into reality. Edison's laboratory was not fueled by inspiration. It was fueled by midnight oil and relentless repetition. Lincoln's speeches were not born in sudden bursts. They were carved, refined, memorized, until his voice carried the weight of a nation. And yet discipline is where most people break. They think success should arrive wrapped in convenience. They think purpose should be pursued only when it feels good. But discipline is the refusal to negotiate with the weaker self. It is waking up before the sun because your vision demands it. It is training your body, sharpening your mind, reading when others are sleeping, working when others are wasting, persisting when others are quitting. Discipline is sacrifice, but it is also freedom. For the man who masters discipline becomes a master of destiny. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. To the untrained eye, it is just stone, but the sculptor sees the statue hidden within. Every strike of the chisel, every fragment that falls away, is discipline, day after day, blow after blow, until at last the figure emerges. That is success. Your vision is the statue. Your discipline is the chisel. Without it, the marble remains a block. With it, the masterpiece emerges. The hidden law is not cruel. It is exact. It does not ask for perfection. It asks for persistence. It does not demand genius. It demands grind. The men we call geniuses were not men who never failed. They were men who never stopped chiseling. The law rewarded them not for brilliance, but for obedience. And here is the most liberating truth of all. You do not need to be extraordinary to begin. You need only to decide. Decide that your soil will no longer grow weeds. Decide that your vision will be guarded like treasure. Decide that your discipline will not bend to comfort. And the moment you decide, the law responds. It begins to conspire with you, to bend reality toward the image you carry, to align opportunities with your persistence. But beware, decision without commitment is self-deception. To say, I want success, and live like you expect failure is the greatest betrayal. The law sees not your words, but your habits. It does not yield to declarations spoken once. It yields to declarations lived daily. So rise. Declare your purpose. Write it, engrave it. Repeat it until it becomes bone and blood. Build your alliance. Protect your soil. Sharpen your discipline. For the law is waiting. It has always been waiting. It does not care about your past. It does not care about your excuses. It does not care about your circumstances. It cares only about your obedience. And the moment you align with it, your life begins to transform. The hidden law of success has never been about chance. It has never been about luck. It has always been about alignment between what you see in your mind, what you believe in your heart, and what you execute with your hands. When those three forces unite, destiny has no choice but to surrender to you. Yet, most people spend their lives misaligned. They think one way, feel another, and act in a third. They dream of abundance but expect scarcity. They speak of success but act like failures. They say they want greatness, yet their habits prove they are married to mediocrity. And the law, impartial as ever, gives them exactly what they ordered: confusion, contradiction, disappointment. But the ones who rise, the ones who rewrite history, they live aligned. Their thoughts, their emotions, their actions are one voice, one rhythm, one relentless drumbeat marching them toward victory. Look again at Walt Disney, bankrupt, betrayed, ridiculed, yet never breaking rhythm. His thoughts said, "It is possible." His emotion said, "It is certain." His action said, "It is inevitable." And the world bent to his alignment. Today, children dream inside the castles he once dreamed alone. This is where clarity transforms into power. When you are clear, the world becomes your servant. When you are vague, the world becomes your master. Without clarity, you drift. With clarity, you command. So let me ask you, as if this were the last night you had breath in your lungs, what do you want? Not what the world told you to want. Not what your parents, your teachers, or your peers expected of you. What do you, with your own mind and your own fire, demand from life? Do not answer lightly. Do not answer vaguely. Speak it as if the walls were listening, as if the soil of the law were waiting for your seed. Because the truth is, it is. And once you declare it, once you engrave it into your soul, there can be no retreat. The law demands loyalty. It demands that you stand firm when storms come, when critics laugh, when comfort calls you back into mediocrity. It demands that you pay the price of persistence, the price of patience, the price of self-mastery. For this is the final secret of the hidden law. Success is not given, it is leased. And the rent is due every single day. You pay it with discipline. You pay it with focus. You pay it with action. And the moment you stop paying, the law reclaims what was never yours to keep. It was only yours to maintain. Think of the greats one last time. Edison did not invent once. He invented for a lifetime. Carnegie did not build one mill. He built an empire brick by brick. Ford did not create one model. He reshaped transportation for generations. Their greatness was not a single act. It was sustained obedience to the law, day after day, year after year. And so must it be with you. There will come nights when doubt whispers, "It's not working." There will come days when failure screams, "You are wasting your time." There will be seasons where the harvest has not yet arrived and the soil looks barren. But remember this truth: the law never fails. The seed always grows if it is fed with belief and guarded by discipline. So rise when it is hard, persist when it is dark, endure when it feels pointless. For the hidden law is watching, testing, shaping you into the vessel strong enough to hold the destiny you were born for. One day, people will look at you and call it luck. They will call it chance. They will say you were gifted, privileged, different. Let them talk. Smile, because you will know the truth. You will know the nights you endured, the doubts you silenced, the battles you fought within your own mind. You will know it was not luck, but law. And when that day comes, when the soil yields its harvest and your vision stands before you in flesh and stone, you will remember this moment. You will remember that the hidden law of success was never hidden at all. It was waiting in your own mind, waiting for you to believe, waiting for you to commit, waiting for you to act. Now the choice is yours. You can return to the comfort of mediocrity, plant nothing, expect nothing, and reap nothing. Or you can rise, declare your vision, plant with clarity, believe with conviction, act with discipline, and obey the law that has shaped every titan in history. But understand this, and never forget it: the law does not wait. The law does not delay. The law is working right now, shaping your future according to the seeds you plant today. So plant wisely, believe fiercely, act relentlessly, and one day you will awaken not in the life handed to you by circumstance, but in the life you forged by law. This is a hidden law of success they never told you about. Now you know, and now the responsibility is yours.